Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Today we got a clip from Hurley on Swan Bitcoin, where he poses this question that, I never thought about. I've never been a big gold thug myself, never really purchased gold. I wore gold, but seeing this recent rally in gold, all-time high in gold, it's made people question about Bitcoin. And the question specifically posed in this clip is, what if Bitcoin has been in a bear market for the past year and some change, and we're still waiting for the actual Bitcoin gold breakout? And that kind of ties in with what Peter Schiff said. I put that clip up before where I showed, actually multiple times, actually, the most recent though, where Peter Schiff is kind of zooming in on the chart saying that Bitcoin hasn't topped against gold since the 2021 peak. I'm gonna show you that again, not the clip, but to show you that Bitcoin has topped against gold, but it definitely hasn't moved much. So let's preface this with the intro from Swan Bitcoin and Hurley.
Gold just fell nearly 6% today, and Bitcoin just ripped back up.
Oh, sorry about that. Probably too fast for most of you guys.
Gold just fell nearly 6% today, and Bitcoin just ripped back above 113,000. Is this the moment the gold to Bitcoin rotation finally begins? And what if Bitcoin hasn't been in a bull market at all this year? What if all of 2025 has actually been a bear market in disguise, and the bottom is finally in? Today, we're breaking down what's really driving this historic reversal, why the money printer is running hotter than it has since 2020, and why this year's parabolic move in gold has set the stage for a much bigger explosion in Bitcoin before year's end.
Now, again, I am not big on gold, but I do know enough to be dangerous in regards to how it correlates with Bitcoin. And looking at the charts and what other people far smarter than me have laid out is that, gold runs first, gold sniffs it out, then Bitcoin rallies. Bitcoin, let's kind of rephrase that. Bitcoin can respond much more accurately, whereas gold will be more positioned with a forward-looking indicator due to its longevity and its liquidity. Bitcoin trades 24/7. Gold is mostly paper derivatives, very little physically known, who knows where, that's verifiable. So it still moves, but not nearly as volatile as Bitcoin. So what you'll see is like, 5% in gold and like a 20% in Bitcoin, plus or minus, depending on what it actually is. So Hurley posed this question, and let's dive into the rest of it.
Gold and silver have both broken lower today, down 6 and 8% respectively. For historic context, that's the most gold has been down in one day in over a decade. And right on cue, Bitcoin reclaimed $113,000 after grinding below 110K since the large leverage liquidation a few weeks ago. Is this finally the start of the rotation Bitcoiners have been talking about all year? 2025 has been overwhelmingly a story about gold, as humanity's oldest and greatest monetary metal has been the star of the sound money trade, up more than 30% since January, while Bitcoin largely chopped in a range between 85 and 125K. The backdrop couldn't be louder. Global M2 money supply has exploded from 129 trillion to 137 trillion in only 6 months, at 12% annualized pace. That's the fastest monetary growth since the COVID stimulus. And what did Bitcoin do the last time that happened? It lagged, then launched 6x in 6 months once the liquidity hit the system. And here we are again. The printer's back on, gold's catching its breath, and Bitcoin looks ready to run. Interestingly, just as Bitcoin looked ready to break through 114K earlier today, Trump dropped another cryptic post hinting that the China trade meeting might not happen. And like clockwork, Bitcoin slipped $2,000 within minutes. Now, I'm not saying this proves the gold first theory we talked about in the last video, but it's interesting timing. Regardless, this rotation from physical to digital sound money is inevitable. And to understand the historic...
Now, we're going to take a look at the gold chart, like he's going to bring up, or he's actually going to do a clip for Michael Saylor. But what's interesting is he mentioned that, Bitcoin is pretty much chopped sideways between 85 and 125. And you can really remove this 50-day period where we wicked back down. Well, we didn't wick. We went all the way back down to 85. Remember, that was March through April. So about 50 days, that we went below 90 and came back up. So if you start way back in November, we caught the 90 of November last year. And then we have been above 90 minus that 50-day period. I'm not saying you could throw it out, but just saying it's very interesting that you could have just gotten into the market in November and ignored all of this since then and really not have missed much. We're sitting at 111 right now. So, $21,000 in Bitcoin. Not much you need to really be paying attention to. That is interesting to note. And then when we talk about this chart, which is Bitcoin versus gold, this was the 2021 peak. So we had a 36 ounce somewhere in there, if I'm not mistaken, 35 ounces per Bitcoin per one Bitcoin, 36 ounces per Bitcoin when we hit the double top. This is 2021, March and November. And then we just broke above that briefly one time, maybe a couple times, but basically December. So that was all during the elections, and we haven't gotten back there since. So there is some validity, because you could look at that as an outlier, to say that, yeah, we have not peaked against Bitcoin, or Bitcoin has not peaked against gold since 2021. So that would mean that we've been pretty much in a bear market, even including last year in Bitcoin. So even though we're sitting at new all-time highs in Bitcoin, the Bitcoin to gold ratio now is literally like, not an all-time low, but it's at 25 ounces of gold per Bitcoin. We didn't see that level previously. 25, where are the 25s? Back here, which was March 2022. This is when Bitcoin was like 40K, 50K. Like, that is insane. So you have to ask yourself, yeah, are we in a bear market, are we in a bear market and has it bottomed, or is it going to continue to trend lower? If you're looking at this chart, I obviously am optimistic and bullish on Bitcoin. So I believe we're going higher, and we have hit a new floor, so to speak, and gold ripping just gives Bitcoin that much more of a spread. Previously, it was like 1 million Bitcoin was the market cap of gold. Now it's 1.5 million. If gold goes to 5,000 an ounce, we're looking at like 1.6, 1.7. Don't quote me on the math there, but closer to 2, right? So that just means we got more room to grow, more money we can, move from gold and into Bitcoin. So to me, it's all good. It's just being delayed, and, has a lot of people a little fearful because of it.
That's the lineage right there. Gold was humanity's first global network, a technology that linked empires because everyone could verify it. Bitcoin is the next iteration, digital, self-verifying, and unstoppable. The same physics that made gold scarce now make Bitcoin absolute. It's still energy, still collateral, just perfected. Now let's talk about some interesting framing first mentioned by pioneering cryptographer Nick Szabo last week. Szabo pointed out something I haven't heard anyone else highlight. If you price it in gold, 2025 hasn't been a bull market for Bitcoin at all. It's actually been in a bear market. That sounds bearish until you realize what it actually means. As Joe Carlasare pointed out on X, markets correct in two ways, by price or by time. And this year may have been a time correction, a long, quiet digestion period where Bitcoin transferred from short-term traders to long-term hands, while gold soaked up the initial liquidity. If Szabo's right, the bottom in Bitcoin versus gold may have printed early this week. That would mean the real bull market, the one denominated in hard money, is just beginning. And that brings us to Saylor's bigger point. This isn't just a price.
So let's look at that real quick. So they had a 23.87. So I was just looking at it like around 24. But yeah, that could literally, these are people charting things, but these are both sound money assets. One, the, hardcore encoded by geography and time, and the other digital and created by cryptography. So they are still doing the same work. One just is going to move a lot faster and have more volatility because it is fixed, scarce, and digital, right? So all that to say that I believe we will indeed go a lot higher. Just don't know exactly when. There's gonna be another video I'm gonna show later on that talks about when the biggest gains of the market happen. What happens if you are not in the market at those times? You literally miss that whole opportunity. So you could have been in the market the entire year and you miss these few days and you're screwed. So stay tuned for that. But until then, smash that HBO special, help a brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below. And until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible.